Hey everybody, it's Joe Passion Unchained here. I'm going to do an episode on emotions. I'm not going to be able to get through everything about emotions because it is a nebulous topic. Give me one moment. There's a lot of things that go into emotions. I'm going to put my hat on because my hair is in between two really good lengths. One length where I can style it really well and easily, and one length where it's long and it looks flowy and shit. And here's in the middle of the two where it's not that great. So, fuck it, I'm going to put a hat on. Emotions, right? So when you hear emotions, you either hear, oh yay, we're going to talk about feelings. This is so cool. Like, I like talking about feelings with all my friends, and that's great. Or you think, emotions, that pussy shit, that, you look at some fucking The Notebook and you cry and all that jazz. Sometimes we can fall upon those extremes, but when you look at emotions in a healthy way, it's a lot more nuanced, and it's so nuanced, this is going to be several episodes. But in living a passionate life, you have to understand your emotions. Yes, I know it can be boring or sad, or you might be like, oh, I'm a pussy if I go after my emotions, or you're like, oh, I already know how to do this. But there's a lot of work that's constant when it comes to managing ourselves. I think that's the best way to say it, managing yourself. You're not trying to control your emotions. You're not just saying, fuck it, like, let me just feel whatever I feel and do whatever I want. There's a lot of nuance that goes into it. Sometimes it's important to super feel things. Sometimes it's important to be like, all right, dude, like, get your shit together. It's not the time to feel things. It's time to do. And you really have to apply it situationally, and you're going to get it wrong. So first off here, it's important to understand that you're human and you're not going to get everything right at one point. Yesterday, I blew up a really great potential relationship that I had with this girl I was seeing. Blew it up out of anger. It was stupid. It was completely stupid of me, and it was wrong. And I'm human. I'm getting better. I did a lot better than similar situations in the past. I don't want to say too many details because it's a very, it's a sensitive situation and there's somebody else involved. But basically, we had planned something and she was having a really bad day and I wasn't as empathetic as I could be. And because I didn't have an empathetic, because I didn't apply everything situationally, because my go-to is, hey, we planned this. It's important to me that you follow through on your plans. That is very valid in a lot of situations. In situation where she's like, yeah, I don't really feel like, if she said I don't really feel like coming, then it would be very valid to me for me to be like, hey, like, it's important to me that we decided, we planned this, you confirmed this morning, let's follow through. And if you don't want to follow through, that's fine, but we don't have matching values and let's call this, call it off. But it was a different situation where she felt, she was having a really bad day. She was crying. She didn't want to be bad company, and it wouldn't have been fun for either of us if she'd come. So she wanted to delay because of these feelings that were coming up, and I was a cold-hearted bitch. So I succumbed to my emotions of anger, and this is as much of an episode for me as it is for you. And that's one of the things that I'm going to always show you is that I'm not a perfect person either. Yes, I'm the one speaking to you. Yes, I'm the expert, if you will, because I study these things. I think about these things. I try to build a passionate life as much as possible, and I keep a keen eye on the things that I'm doing so that I can help you guys build even more passionate life. I mean, I put out a photography photo tip today with some solid photos that I took a while ago on all the Facebook posts. That's a big thing I'm going into, and I'll talk more about passions, etc. in other videos. But yes, I'm the expert, but no, I'm not perfect. I'm always learning. The only thing is, I always put my focus on this, and I am in a place where I can teach you. I teach you the things that I learn along my journey. So, emotions. Again, this is going to be a several-part episode because there's way too much to talk about. One thing, I'll just talk about one aspect of emotions here, and that is, when should you feel and when should you put your emotions aside and do? The answer's not cut and dry, and I'm gonna tell you like when to do this and when to do that, but it's more nuanced than that. So I'll tell you first when to feel, when not to feel, and then I'm gonna go into the nuance, and then we'll call it a day, and I'll do the outro. When do you feel? A, right when the emotion happens. You feel right when the emotion comes. If yesterday, instead of reacting to the anger that I felt, I decided to like sit, feel the anger, and fully embrace it, fully feel it, fully be in it, which would be uncomfortable, yes. But if I decided to feel it and then let it go and move on, then I would be in a different spot with this girl and we would still be seeing each other. Because I decided to act instantly, there's a time for acting on emotion, but I decided to act instantly before feeling it. In fact, I acted so that I did not feel it, and that is very key. Again, I'm going to repeat that because that is key. I acted so that I would not feel my feelings. I lashed out and set a hard boundary when it wasn't appropriate to do so because I didn't want to feel the uncomfortability of the anger. This is a key, especially if you're one of those people that are like, I don't want to pay attention to my emotions. It's pussy shit. I'm a man. Listen, I'm there sometimes. I understand. I judge myself sometimes for feeling my emotions. I get it. It feels like your friends are going to make fun of you. It feels like you're giving in your man card. I understand. I feel that way sometimes. But wouldn't it make more sense to do a little bit of work on yourself and be a little uncomfortable rather than react and blow up opportunities? Like, isn't being a man about being effective? And wouldn't you be more effective in the world if you were able to manage your reactions and manage yourself? That's one thing that first of all, I think it's a shame that there's a school of thought that masculinity is to be emotionless. I think that's a misunderstanding. I think the real case is masculinity is being in control of your actions despite your emotions. That doesn't mean don't feel them, and this is what we'll get into in the nuance part. I guess I'm getting into it a little early, but we'll come back to it. It doesn't mean don't feel them. It means feel them, but be in control of your actions. There are different things. You can feel something fully, but do something else, right? So that's number one, is to feel it. You should feel it when it's intense and right when it started. Not the whole time. You don't feel it and then keep feeling it and beat yourself up by feeling the pain 100% of the time. You can distract yourself, but at first, when you feel an intense emotion, when it's intense and when it's just started, feel it. It's almost like if you've touched an electrical wire, right? You need to, this is not a perfect analogy. Let me think. If you have like a cast iron pan that you just took out of the oven, right? You cook some salmon, it's 450 degrees, and the pan will scald you, right? You want to take it out, and you want to run with like a pot holder, and then you take the salmon out, of course, you eat that. But like before you touch the pan, you want to run cold water over it. Why? Because that cold water takes some of the heat away, so now you can touch it. After you run cold water over it for a bit, now you hold it. Now you don't run cold water over it and just keep it under cold water forever. That's just stupid. Like, you need to use that pan again. So run the cold water over it, and then you'll be able to clean it and use it again. And that's kind of like what it is to feel something right when it comes out. Like, if you feel an intense emotion, it's kind of dissipates some of that heat. It dissipates the energy, so it's more manageable, and you're in a place where you're not reacting so intensely, right? You can focus on other things because you've dissipated that intense energy, right? So that's number one, feel. When do you do things, right? When do you, for want of a better word, ignore your feelings, push them to the side and do and focus on action? After the initial feeling, and then also when it's not as intense. So if you're feeling, like, here's a great example. I had a friend who might be watching this, by the way, shout out to you. You probably know who you are. He recently had an amazing experience. He was traveling. He was in this nature place, and he met this girl on this beach, and they had such an amazing connection, literally randomly in the middle of nowhere, in the middle of the wilderness, in a famous national park. They went and they had sex on the beach. They had just met. They had such a deep connection, And he might be flying her out here to Austin because they connected and had such a deep connection with each other. And he was telling me the story, right? And in my mind, I'm like, this is such an amazing story, and I'm happy for him. But there's a part of me that was jealous because I don't have a comparable story in my life. I have some stories that come, part of the way to how amazing this story probably was, but I don't have something that's as amazing as this story. And so part of me was like, I wish I did. I feel jealous, like this negative emotion, right? But I decided to focus only on the part that was supportive to him outwardly, to take my jealousy and to put it aside and not breathe a word about it, right? Because this was not about me. This was a situation where I wanted to be there for my friend. I wanted to support him, and I wanted to share how amazing I thought that experience was for him, and have what they call compersion, where I was happy for him. And the jealousy that I had, while very real, had no place in this conversation, so I let it go. And if I needed to deal with it later, I could journal about it or whatever. I didn't have to. So that's when you should not put your emotions aside and not feel them and just distract yourself from them. And this is when, again, it's not intense, and also it doesn't fit the situation, and you don't need to focus on it. Like it's not like pressing. So if it's not intense and it's not immediate, right? So or let me rephrase that. If it's not intense, or if it's an intense emotion that's dissipated after a while and it's not currently super intense. So you feel the emotion and focus just on feeling, again, not acting. If you're focusing on feeling, no action. So it's either feeling or action. You focus on feeling when it's intense and new. You focus on action despite the emotion. Again, the best action, regardless of what you're feeling. What's the best action here? You focus on that when the feelings that you're feeling are not very intense, or it was intense and it's not as intense anymore. Now that will keep you balanced in most situations. There is nuance here because emotion, while intense emotions, especially anger and jealousy, can influence us to take action that is not good for us or relationships. I've blown up, I can't tell you how many bridges out of emotion, action that was based on emotion. Sometimes emotion can inspire you to take action, and you should take action when you feel those emotions. Like if you are, like for instance, I was scared for a while to focus on photography as my main source of income. But after a massage, I felt clear and I felt inspired and I felt excited to do photography. So I made a decision to drive Uber less that week and start advertising for my photography services more. And I ended up getting a client and a couple of clients that were excited to work with me that are going to work with me soon. And that was because I decided to make a decision based on emotion. So there is nuance here. Positive emotions or pleasant emotions, there might be a little more leeway to act on them. Now, of course, don't be too reckless. Although, to be honest, I've been reckless a lot when it comes to acting a positive emotion, and it's turned out well. That depends on your risk, like how much risk you're willing to take. I have an article. I'm migrating my site from Squarespace to WordPress, so I have more control over it. But there's an article I have up there. I'll link. There's a vlog I did on it. There's a vlog and an article, but there's a vlog I did on it called I think it's called "Find Your Goldilocks Zone" or like what. I don't remember, but it has to do with how much essentially how much risk you want in your life. Find your place on the spectrum. And so when it comes to reacting to pleasant emotions, I don't like to say positive emotions because all emotions are positive because all they are information about what you want deep down or how you're reacting to things. But the pleasant emotions are what people usually say, the positive emotions. I just like to say pleasant and unpleasant. The pleasant emotions, those are the ones that if you have more tolerance for risk, feel free to react to those, understanding that you are taking a risk when you react to emotion and act based on emotion. And if you have more of a risk intolerance, I would say be more stoic. Read the stoic things. I actually started reading Meditations by Marcus Aurelius, and it doesn't make any fucking sense to me. And I judged myself for a while because I'm like, everyone's like, read Meditations, read Meditations, read Meditations. And I'm reading it, and it's like, I don't fucking understand what he's getting at. It doesn't make any sense. Maybe it's the translation. Maybe I just need to find a different translation. Maybe I'm dumber than I thought, or maybe everyone else is just faking it, or they're just like trying to make up like, oh, it's so meaningful, when it's really they didn't get anything from it. I don't know. It could be a combination of all three. But if you have any suggestions, if you want me to clarify, if something, if your aha moments, I want you to comment down below. What is your aha moment? What did you get? What insight did you get from this video? And I respond to every comment that is not a bot. So if you are a person and you comment, I will respond. Enjoy, and see you next time.